Hi, I'm Harut Markarian, and this is Mobility and Inclusion, the show where we share the powerful stories of people with disabilities and daring entrepreneurs making waves in our world. From technological innovations to best practices in business, we'll learn what it really means to live in an inclusive and universally designed environment. Welcome, everybody. This is Harut Markarian, part of Mobility Inclusion Podcast, and my guest today is Minerva Garcia, mostly known as Minie Garcia, a female leader in the healthcare industry in the field of physical medicine and rehabilitation. She built her reputation through her 30 years career in physical therapy. An immigrant from the Philippines who devoted her time in the US treating patients who are coming fresh from surgery and helping them get out of bed and return back to their normal lives. She is currently Director of Operations of Interstate Rehab Services. Minie, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Good to be here.
Minie?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Oh,
now.
can
Perfect.
okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me in your show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you here. I think we have a lot of valuable information to share with our audience. And I think you bring a lot of valuable information that people in the needing of healthcare or coming out of surgery might want to know.
Oh, yeah.
So
My
let's
favorite patients.
let's go through what your job currently is, where you work, and what you do for your clients.
So right now I'm actually director of operations of a big company, a company that contracts in different hospitals. They provide the rehab department. So in different hospitals they have those different departments.
Mm.
Nowadays they outsource different departments because it's so much easier that somebody else is taking care of everything from compliance, regulatory, making sure that that department, the last thing that they need to worry about is one department. So what we do is that we contract with all of those different hospitals, and I'm involved with about three different healthcare systems. So when we're talking about healthcare systems, you can hear those popular names as Kaiser, right?
Yep.
And so this one is not Kaiser, we call it about Prime Healthcare Hospitals. Okay, and then KPC Global, so group of healthcare systems, and then they own different kinds of hospitals. So right now in our company, we have about 25 of them. And out of them, at one point, I had 21. And then I trickled down to 18. And then I trickled down. Now they finally promised me, asked me that they only give me the Orange counties. So I have about seven right now that,
Wow, a lot on your plate.
you know, well, you know what? Once you dialed in and how to handle it, it's so much easier now. I started with just one, and then they challenged me to a C2, the one in downtown LA and the one in Orange County. The challenge is not really handling the department. The challenge is the drive. And here in California, the drive pre-pandemic is terrible, you know?
I
And
know,
so
I
that was
know.
the challenge. And then once you get to the hospital and managing different staff is an easy thing. But then the joy of it all is that I am part director and a part physical therapist. So I
Mm.
still go to the trenches. I go to the patient's room. I sit down with them. I am actually the one who literally almost like getting them up to out of bed. So as a physical therapist, our role in the hospital is really to make sure that they get out of the hospital. So, they come to the hospital. The first thing that the doctor said, okay, 3 days you're leaving. And then back in their plan, the plan in their head is that, well, the physical therapist will help us get this patient out of the hospital.
Yeah.
It's a healthcare system. And a
So,
big part of our role is identify where is the next step for our patients. Is it home? Or maybe it's another place, a rehabilitation department or a skilled nursing, they call it, or an acute setting, or maybe home with home health, or sometimes home and then make sure that they go on an outpatient. So we kind of like dabble between two roles, which is the physical therapist and also what they call the case management. Although there's a case management department, we work hand in hand with them.
got it, got
So
it.
yeah, it's a big chunk. Yeah, that's the hospital. So I deal with CEOs. and they call it the CNOs, the Chief Nursing Operation in the hospital. So you're talking about if I have seven or eight or nine, then I deal with nine of them. But and then so like I said, just the department is one. Once through the years, I kind of like got the hang of what's really the most important thing when it comes to dealing with the department, and then also still seeing a patient, keeping your skills as a physical therapist up to par.
That, I think that's a very important part. I was, I always say I was a professional athlete, so I always say that people who never played the sport but are coaches are always more inefficient than actual players who become coaches, right? Because you're part of the game, right? And in this case, you
Yeah.
actually practice physical therapy, so which makes your job maybe a lot more exciting, a lot easier. You can help more people, right?
Yes, exactly. We kind of like joke around, a lot of our therapists that I work with who've been in the industry for quite some time, and we laugh around it. Like before, at the beginning, we would say we literally would sit down with a patient and evaluate them for about an hour. Now, just seeing the patient across the room, like just from afar, we kind of like sort of like in our head, we can evaluate them already. And you kind of like get that practice, kind of like an athlete, right? You know already you're passing it the wrong way, but at the beginning. But then for us, it's the same thing with the physical therapy, because we work so much with a patient. We know already when the patient is going to stay in the hospital longer than, oh no, this is going to be a long runner, or this is going to be, oh, this one is going to get out of the hospital in 2 days.
Yeah,
And we know
that's
it already because you're in that practice. And yeah,
absolutely.
but if you have a director who never had that experience, that got this the degree, let's say DBT, and then they got into the position as a director without that experience, like stuff. They just tell you what to do. That's what I
Yeah,
some of
you
my
always
some of
want
my
some.
stuff run into.
Yeah, you always want someone who understands you, right? Your director or your boss should be someone who understands the job. That way, the guidance will be more effective.
Yeah, it's kind of like in any industry. Like say, like right now, I started a new business in a financial industry, wealthcare, right? So I moved from healthcare to wealthcare. The principle is still the same. You needed somebody who's gone there, who's been there, who will tell you the ropes, and then and you trust them.
Yeah,
And the staff trusts me because they know if things gets to worse, they know I will put on my scrubs, I will put on my white jacket, get my stethoscope, get the walkers going right there in the trenches with them. But if they do not know, like other mentors or other directors, well, they'll just tell you what to do, just finish the job.
yeah,
They could not
absolutely.
literally mentor you how to go about it.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. I like the logo, by the way. Healthcare to wealthcare. I think if I only look at the logo, it has the health and the wealth, combined. It gives it a good story. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the that's your MG consulting services. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
my I started my MG consulting. It's Minie Garcia, but actually underneath that MG is really my God's consulting services. I'm a Christian, and so I know that nothing that I do is not without His blessings and His guidance. So I kind of like so people said, oh yeah, no brainer, Minie Garcia, MG Consulting. So I started that consulting as a physical therapist because of my practice, and I've attempted to resign many times with the company, and lo and behold, I lived in LA at the beginning, and I worked with this company, and I resigned first because I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I went through the chemotherapy and everything, right? And I was still working, but then I said, you know what? I kind of like slow down. Let me. I don't want to drive from Orange County to LA, and then said that okay, they agreed. But then lo and behold, they found a hospital that I needs my help. Said, oh, it's only about 20 minutes from LA, so you can drive. So I'm back in the limelight again in physical therapy and directing, and starting the operation in this company, and then I moved out, and then I resigned again. I moved down in a little bit lower than farther south in Orange County, and then they found, and now they found all these Orange County hospitals. So I'm hooked. I get I get in and out of that system. Now I forgot what your question was.
No, I
So,
was
but
so actually I can ask you a question now. So part of your consulting service, you educate people on financial literacy, right? So who are your clients and how can people get in touch with you if they need financial advice?
yeah. So with MG Consulting, like I said earlier, I started it consulting it with our company as a director, and then it expanded to the holistic approach to a person's needs. Okay, at the beginning, it was mainly mentorship and how to become a better clinician, how to become a better director. And then I got involved with what we call financial education. And then I moved on that consulting and services firm to a much greater level, because I do believe now, I believe that finances is really a foundation of any career. The
Absolutely.
sad thing, if I may share with you, I in the bio said that I am an immigrant from the Philippines. In the Philippines, how we know about finances is really weird. It's actually incomplete. It's almost like a pick and choose. You pick here a little bit here and there, right? But the common theme is that you go to a university, if not a good university, and get a good degree, and then graduate and then work. That's pretty much the financial education there. It's almost like if you have work, then you're set, regardless what work, But in a middle, put it in a little bit higher level, then it's got to be a very good career. So I do not know if you notice here in the United States, there are a lot of Filipino nurses. Sciences, we believe, is the source where you can earn a lot of money. Well, I did not go to nursing. I went to physical therapy. I was planning to become a doctor, but I don't know why. I thought it was so long. So I ended up becoming a physical therapist. So pretty much everybody thought that I'm set. And I believe that. I believe that I'm set. So I came here in the United States. I actually went to the top university in the Philippines. I do not know how I made it there, but I made it there, right? So pretty much everyone thought that I'm all set. But I came here in the United States and do my job. I love what I do, and I enjoyed it. But guess what? Financially, I don't tap into it. I don't talk about finances. Why? Because I came to realize that wait, I'm working and I'm earning six figures, but where is the money going? You know how like one day you wake up that wait a minute, where's the money going? I'm getting older, and so then that became in the back burner of my mind. I said, okay, I need to learn about finances, but until I was invited by a friend of mine in a seminar. And I think, she just said, oh, let me invite Minnie. So I sat there and then said, oh my gosh, there's so many things about finances that I didn't know. And here's what blew my mind. In my mind, I thought finances is so complicated. I bought a house when I was like, I think 5 years out, started working here. I don't understand what I signed during that time, right? It's so funny. But then I signed it. I got a house and everything. But now when I was just like, when I was sitting in this seminar, I said, finances are so simple. Why in the hell? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I
Oh, it's
don't
okay.
mean
It's
to
okay. This is
stop.
a this is a cup
Okay,
friendly
one
show,
time.
so you're good.
Okay, why in heaven am I not allowed to know all of these, all of this information? The financial industry make it so complicated. The portfolios here, and then we annuitize your money here and stuff like that. These terminologies that they do, right? And invest here, and then only for you to find out that there are like three important things about finances that you really need to know, and that's it, and run with it, right? And
Yep.
one is the rule of 72. Have you heard of the rule of 72, Harut? Yeah, the rule of 72. What do you mean? They said the eighth wonder of the world. Guess what? I know I know I'm talking top of the class, but I will never ever forget that the seventh wonder of the world is the rice terraces in the Philippines. I said, what? There's an eighth wonder of the world, and it's this, the rule of 72.
Yep.
Second is the rate of return.
Mhm.
What do you mean the rate of return? Yes, says I was one of those who used to be guilty of doesn't care about the interest rate, let alone doesn't care how much my money is growing. And when they showed me that picture and the effect of the rate of return using the rule of 72, said, man, that really just opened my eyes. So simple math, it's like compounding it is so simple math. And then they said, but now here, you're young or you're old, depending on how your age, where do you put your money? Is it on a fixed account or is it somewhere else where it's indexed? I said, what do you mean index? Well, you don't lose money. What do you mean you don't lose money? You're supposed to lose money, right? Isn't that normal with finances, like
Yeah.
everybody was saying? Because you hear it so loud with the stock market, right? Oh, I lost money or I gained money. As a matter of fact, in stocks, people who are in it, they always say, my money grew. I gained a lot gain. But then when they lose money, they are quiet about it. You don't hear about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Absolutely.
But then now I come to realize that no, they go up and down. They go up and down, and they just don't tell you the down. Well, I found out that there is a way not to go down, and that's indexing. Warren Buffett says there are only two rules when it comes to money and building wealth. Rule number one, don't lose money. And he said, rule number two, don't you dare ever forget rule number one.
Yeah.
So don't lose money. So that's why he said that that's indexing, where if the market crashes, you don't lose your money. Some of the companies actually even give you 0.75%. Wow. I said, really? And then if the market goes up, you go up with a certain cap. And I said, well, but what if the market is so high and then the cap is low? I said, well, look, Minnie, I found out like in the history, the only way we can literally predict the financial gain is when you go back. So we go back 20 years, 25 years. If you go steady on it, the principle of indexing is the best. And
Yeah.
then the last thing, which is the one that I feared so much here in the United States, and I got funny and scary story about it, is taxes. The effect of taxes in the money. I said, I
Absolutely.
know taxes because I always pay Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is really rich from me because I do not know. And when I found out about it, I said, what do you mean? I pay 10,000 pretty much every year because I do not know. I'm
Well,
not
you're not
blaming
alone.
IRS. They're just following the rules. Say that
A
again.
lot. You're not alone. A lot of people, unfortunately, go through life passively, right? Are like, oh, the government is collecting taxes. Oh, here you go. Or oh, we're putting the stock market and we don't know where to put it properly, so there goes our money, right? And a lot of people say, let's say, option investing is risky, right? And like all these people will say such things because they don't understand what they're doing. If you understood what you were doing,
Exactly.
you wouldn't be saying stuff like this, right? So I completely agree with you.
Exactly. So that's why for me, then all of a sudden I said, wait, I need to learn. After all, I do not need to be scared about numbers. And like I said, my story about taxes, my first year here, my husband and I would file taxes and said, there's this what you call, what is this one? Turbo tax. Oh my gosh, we do not know anything about United States tax. And now we're turbo taxing and we are at 11 o'clock in the evening. Deadline is before midnight, right? And we're filing our taxes. I tell you, I think I developed PTSD during that time, and since then I said no more about taxes. So if IRS says I have to pay, then I would have to pay. I never like so anyway. So simply because I did not take time to learn about it, and actually you don't even have to spend a lot of time to learn about it. And so I learned so much in this seminar, just at that an hour and a half. And I said, I want more. And that's when I learned, I understood about, when how much our money was taxes. That's when I started looking at the interest rate my bank gives me. Oh my gosh, another highway robbery right there. Professional highway robbery. And I said, all along I've been trusting these banks to keep my money and grow my money. And guess what? No, they only give you 0.01%.
Yep.
And they're even lucky to tell you that, congratulations, we raised the interest rate to 0.02. What the heck? 0.02. And then I said, if you're going to follow the rule of 72, that'll be 7,200 years for my money to double.
Yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
imagine that?
Yeah,
And then plus the fees. I don't like ATMs for some reason. I mean, sometimes I think me and machine sometimes does not go along, and I don't trust. So if I can go inside the bank, I would go inside the bank and literally deposit my check, right? And these banks charge you if you go more than 4 times.
yes.
Some of them 6 times. So, well, then now they're gonna grab another more from my money on top of that, right? And then the interest rate, if you have a credit card, making you
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
good that they are loaning you money or you're getting money for your mortgage. And yet, let's say you're late for your credit card, poof, 16%, 23%.
Yeah,
Wow. It's like, so for me, it's like, okay, I write it off from my past experience because I did not do my due diligent learning. It's no excuse. I take responsibility for that. But now I said, well, now that I know all this, I know I need to give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to God what is God's, right? But I don't have to give
absolutely.
Caesar bonus just because I do not know anything about it. So I literally ran about it, and then I learned about the taxable income. I learned about the tax deferred, like the 401k, 403b, and then the part where the best part is that there's actually a place where you can put your money where you do not have to pay taxes on the gains. I
Yeah.
said, what? You know what? That's what the millionaires are doing. They put all their monies in this vehicle where they do not have to pay taxes on the gains. And guess what? If they run out of place, then they go to tax deferred. I
Mhm.
said, do I need to have millions to do that? I said, no. And that was the game changer for me.
Yeah,
What are you telling me? I can start saving 35, $20, 50, 100, right? On those types of vehicle. And they said, yes, sign me up. I
absolutely.
signed up and then I literally learned about it. And guess what? It became a business because I started sharing the information that I know to people. And they told me that, Minnie, all you need to do is have another license. Well, I spent thousands of dollars to get my physical therapy license to practice here in the United States. I don't care if I have to spend another $1,000 if the gain is way so much bigger. And look at
Absolutely.
it in perspective, Harut. Like if I am in physical therapy, what is the average? Say $50 an hour physical therapist, right? And
Mhm.
then if I'm
Mhm.
going on private practice, sometimes they pay me $100 every time I visit a patient during my time. Okay, maybe it's 120 now, still the same. Now, in this industry, in the financial industry, there's so much money that the financial industry would like to thank you and commission you give you commission to the client that they never advertise for. So with one client that I sit down and help them and show them do this education that I learned, and then for
Mhm.
them to say, Vinny, I wanted to start my savings also. Guess what? How long did it take? Maybe an hour or two. And you can go home with 3,000, 5,000 at some point.
Yeah.
Minimum, let's just say 1,000,
Mhm.
$1,100. So that's when I said,
Big
and
difference.
guess what? Very big difference in the number. But what is the effect on that on the person that you help? I help my patients get out of bed. I really crank all my strength. I know I'm tiny. I'm tiny, but that's why they said, how come all the physical therapists in the hospital are so tiny? Well, we do have techniques. But guess what? These clients that I help, they can sleep well. As a matter of fact, they don't get sick as much as my clients, as my patients in the hospital. Why? Because there's peace of mind. There's this mindset. When you're at
Absolutely.
peace, your body is also at peace. And you're in robotics and about that. And then so you see how a lot of patients are negative, they're cranky, and then, they're frustrated. But I can understand if you need money today or tomorrow, you do not have enough to pay for your mortgage, for your rent, for your food, and then do something for your family. You're worried sick. I mean, I think that's where they got that word, worried sick, right? Because you get worried and then you get sick. And it's true because I was there. And so for me, it's like to see my clients being able to relax and not worry. And then also know that maybe in 20 years from now, they have a sum of money that they can pull off. They don't have to pay Uncle Sam and live off their lives and be able to do more. Oh my gosh, the reward is way night and day. But I just love my healthcare workers. And so I mentioned to you before that I went back to more and practicing in the physical therapy in the hospital because now I have a crusade. My crusade is healthcare to wealthcare, right? No healthcare workers left behind.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of our healthcare workers, our frontliners. They've been all of a sudden like they became popular. We've been around for so many years, right?
I
There's
know,
so
right?
many
I
things
know.
we've been
It took
around.
a pandemic for
Thank
everybody
God
to
to the
realize that they
pandemic.
exist.
Yeah, and it took a pandemic for them to realize that these nurses are good. But I tell you, we've been a brunt of patients that are angry as though we're the one who caused the sickness, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they're mad at us for trying to help them. But because of the pandemic, all of a sudden, like, hail, but it's long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue as far as recognition and appreciating them. Yeah, thank you, Starbucks, and thank you, McDonald's. I got those free meals during the pandemic. Every once in a while, they provided those in other restaurants, right? But here's the thing, they get sick too. And then when they get tired, they go home. Without financial education, they go the same route as what I did before. They think they earn a lot, so they just put a little bit of their money to the banks and then save enough so that they can have a vacation that they have to ask an adult a permission if they can have it or not, right? Because
Yeah,
they're an
unfortunately, yeah.
employee, right? We
Yeah.
even say that, at this age, at age 50, you have to ask another 40-year-old younger than you are, which is your boss, a permission if you can go on vacation to Hawaii for 5 days. And if they say no, then you couldn't go. I said, that's insane. And so I would
Well,
like to educate everybody, look, there's better life than this.
yeah, yeah. I think
And that
everybody
you
needs that
could, as
education.
long as you know.
Everybody,
Oh, I
whether
tell you
whether
what.
whether you're a healthcare worker or just working anything, doing anything, you need the financial education. If you don't have it, now you know someone who is giving that financial education. Go seek Minie out, Minerva Garcia, Healthcare to Wealthcare. And I think you're doing something very valuable, a very noble cause. I think um, no nurse, no healthcare person should be left uneducated financially. So kudos
Exactly.
to you. Kudos to you for doing what you're doing. Let's go back to you a little bit to your personal life. So you're a singer.
Oops. Yes, I actually before I went to physical therapy in college, I was actually in a college of music, majoring in voice.
Nice.
Yeah, I sing. I traveled to Europe, with a singing group. We competed in Europe, and it was fun. It was great. I love it, and I think it became a transition for me because I used to sing, in high school glee club, and then you do not know what you're gonna do. The truth is, my mom does not understand physical therapy, so she does not understand why am I going to physical therapy. So I said, oh, okay, I'm into music because my brother is also a musician. I come from a musician family. He's a musician, guitarist, and
Oh
so I
wow.
followed his lead. And so I think that's comfort zone for my mom that she knows where I'm at. But so that's when I developed my musical career. I enjoyed it. I don't know at that time because I think I was 18 years old during that time in college in the Philippines. And I don't know what I do. All I know is I'm enjoying it. But it became part of my life. And
That's
then, but
great.
when my mom came back, and my mom came back from Iran, and she was with a lot of physical therapists, I said, okay, you can go to physical therapy. But it's in my heart, I sing in choir, I sing in there is this church called Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, and I'd sing there, and we do have a big gospel choir there. And yeah,
That's
and I
awesome. That's
joined
awesome. My
backing
mother
up.
was a singer.
Oh,
Yeah, so back in the
yeah.
day, so I completely I used to hear her sing while she was cooking and while she was doing the dishes, while she was taking care of us. So in my younger years, of course, but that was that was awesome. And you're also a breast cancer survivor. How was that
I am a
experience?
breast cancer. Well, you know what? I don't know if I put it on myself, but I remember when I first got here in the United States and starting my career as a physical therapist. I prayed. I wanted to become the best physical therapist in the nation. That's like maybe a steep goal or a vision, right? But I
Hey,
prayed for that.
yeah,
And
that's what
I
goals are
tell you
supposed
what,
to do. Goals are supposed to transform
it
you completely. So you should aim as high as possible.
correct. And then so that was mine. Is that I don't want to be pompous and arrogant about that. But then that's we should have a goal, right? But few months after that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And you know what? I took it as a grain of salt. This is how God. This is probably God answered my desire to become one. He said, "Okay, well then, if you want to become a good physical therapist, you need to know your patients." So then I became a patient. So I became a first-hand patient. I know how it feels to be walking in the hallway with your, with just the gown and everything, with the draft on your back. I know how it feels when a patient is sitting in the doctor's offices and waiting for not just minutes, but sometimes an hour with a doctor.
Yep.
And the fear of being inside a hospital and not knowing what's next. So kind of like, I took that as my learning lesson. It did not stop me. Actually, I continued to work as a therapist during that time. I would have my chemotherapy on Tuesday afternoon, and since chemotherapy does not work until after 3 days, so by come Friday, I'm ready to be pooped, And then I recovered Saturday and Sunday and back to work again. And
That's
so,
awesome.
but like I said, breast cancer became the what is a learning anchor for me. And yeah, thank you, thank God. It's been 25 years.
No, I love what you're saying. I love your energy. I love your perspective on life in general. I love how you don't pass blame, how you take responsibility for every situation that you've been through. Because ultimately, that's it. We put ourselves in the situations that we find ourselves in, and there's no reason to blame others or the economy or the government or whatever, right? We put ourselves in the situation, and we need to be aware of that. And once we become aware of that, we can get out of that, right?
Exactly. And I wish I could tell you, Harut, that I was like this before.
Well,
If I could blame the whole United States for everything, but it's true. There's a big part of me. I never get it like I did not even blame myself for a while, but I just take it as a grain of salt. There's got to be some lesson in here, right?
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so I realized that even when I am building my business, that well, you cannot blame anybody. You cannot blame, you don't have mentors, you have too many mentors, your mentors is not good. I said, oh, okay. So I guess I just have to default on how what I'm used to thinking before. But I tell
Absolutely.
you, life is a space where we can actually grow our mindset. At the beginning, I never thought that I was really that strong mentally. I still am. I'm still in the process. I tell you, I'm learning every day, and I'm just excited about what am I. Okay, I got this. What am I going to learn tomorrow? Things like
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's all about
So we just
mindset,
have
as
to
you said.
just
Yeah.
be waiting.
Absolutely. It's all about mindset. Everything is mindset related. And, we are conditioned ever since we were kids to live in a certain way, expect certain things, and, go to school, get a job, and but we're never taught to think on a deeper level, be aware, right? How are thoughts affecting our results? We've never thought we
Oh, I
never
tell
we
you.
never taught that, right? So it's very important what we're discussing here. I hope our listeners are, benefiting from the conversation we're having, and hopefully they take an action towards bettering their situation, and keep working on themselves, on their mindsets, and see how that's going to transition them into a much better place. Um,
Yes, mindset is really the key. And I think the biggest tipper where I tipped on my mindset is that as soon as you agree or admit that you do not have a strong mindset, that's the beginning of strength.
yeah,
Because I thought I was strong because I've gone through so many adversities. I thought I was strong until one day I just realized, no, I'm not strong and I need to learn. And that's when all of a sudden the teachings of Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, John Assaraf, I can name so many people. Was this John Maxwell? All these people there that have come in front of me that I started reading long time ago. Now I have to pull all those books back, and I said, now it does make sense now. I need all of these guys to help me. And people are asking, said, how do you strengthen your mindset? You borrow somebody else and then you bring in more people in your team. I
yeah,
brought in Bob Proctor. I brought in Ed Milet, one of my mentors in my financial business. And I brought in even the young ones. The young ones have like kind of like a nice touch of a different thinking. I think you just have to diversify the mentors that you bring into yourself and learn how to filter, based on
absolutely.
what you desire.
I actually did a lot of work with
Yeah,
Bob Proctor's institution, so I studied with them for some time. Now I'm teaching what I studied there too as well, to mostly young athletes, right? The young athletes who want to perform better, both on the court and in their life, right? Because I was an
yes.
athlete, and I cannot tell you how crucial it is to have the right proper mindset, whether it's in a game, in your studies, in your school life, in your family life. At that age, having the right mindset and having someone mentor you to hold the right images in your mind is imperative.
Oh
So
my gosh.
hopefully I can
Yes.
do that for young athletes.
Yes, of course you do. With your training with Bob Proctor, I am pretty sure because
Yeah,
that's all there is. You got something, you give it. You
exactly,
give it
exactly.
back, so then it'll grow,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
that's exactly mainly what I am doing. The minute any hurdle that I go through, say breast cancer, I would talk to as many breast cancer survivors or the ones who are still struggling. And then I learn about mental health. That's why mindset is really very big on me. I struggled with depression at a very young age. At 16, I attempted to commit suicide, and then thank God I was not successful, right? But then so I busied myself in school, activities, and everything. But on the outside, people think I'm doing okay. But there is this nagging, continued, quiet struggle of suicidal ideations and depression that people do not know. So you have to just literally be strong enough to say, help,
Yeah,
help, really just scream and then go for it. And that's why I got involved with all of these different mentors. And sometimes we need to do that for other people, that
absolutely.
to let them know
Absolutely.
that they are free to call help. They're free to call help, and that's what I did. And so I am, as you know, one of our friends, Craig Shelley from Craig Shelley Watches. I was telling him that hopefully by the end of the year, December 2021, my goal is to open up the foundation called ICU Foundation. Not intensive care unit, but it does sound like intensive care unit foundation, but And then C, U Foundation. It's a foundation that will support those who struggled with mental illness. And
That's
it's really
awesome.
mainly focused on mental health and fitness because a lot of our, oh, let me tell you this, if you may allow me to
Yeah,
indulge
of
in a
course.
little bit. Because I was in this being a patient, being I see psychologist, psychiatrist. I've been down on antidepressants and counseling. I tell you, I spent a lot of money on all of those, and I didn't care because I was really seeking to become well. And just because I was introduced with Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, and everything, guess what? My mindset's like it's almost like it negates everything that I learned from the psychology and psychiatry world. Why? Because that is the second side of the world. I don't know. I'll get in trouble by saying this, but I know a lot of counselors. They're very good. I had wonderful counselors, but I would have been still there paying it week after week and not knowing the tools that I learned hearing from Bob Proctor,
Mhm.
hearing from Tony Robbins, hearing from John Assaraf, John Maxwell. The
Yep.
tools that they give is so practical, and all of these are available and yet not available. You know what I mean?
I
It's
know exactly what
there's
you
this
mean.
there's a circle that people do not know this, and that's why I said in this foundation that I am building, the ICU foundation, I want them to find the other resources than just the medication,
Mhm.
than just like psychiatrists and go this one here and then pay because guess what? The government and the insurances and medical situation, they pay for those. If hospitals have a large behavioral health, the hospitals are in good condition. Why? Because the government pays a lot of money to take care of them. Well, wait a minute. How about if we just prevent them from having it?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
so many opportunities for people to become productive, and this world would have been much happier, rather than taking care of people who struggle with mental illness and the mental illness is disturbing other people, right?
Absolutely.
So, if we can find resources for them, the same resources that I run myself into, it's not even given to me. I just ran into it because of the mentors that I got because I've decided to start a business, and in this business, they make you become stronger mentally in your mindset. Wow. It's almost like you're walking and say, oh, this is the cure. Like, it's not even, it's not, it's just like, oh, this is the financial information. I mean, pretty much a lot of them I ran into, and I don't want to say because nobody told me. It's just because my focus is different. My focus is on my own significance to become
Yeah,
the best physical therapist, right? To help my patients. And then my patient says I'm a good one. My focus is different. But if we could allow a platform, a space for everybody where people can share them, what are the different options that they have out there? There are so many resources
absolutely
that
there
their
is.
thinking and their mindset can be challenged. Then, whoa! I tell you what, I stopped taking medication for about 3 years now.
Wow, that's
No
awesome.
withdrawals or anything. I don't even know about that withdrawals, but I do remember that when I've made that decision, I said, you know what? Why am I using this medication as a crutch, fearing that I will feel depressed? Well, I will feel depressed. That's an emotion, right?
Yeah,
It's a matter of like, what do you do about it?
yep, yep,
So you bring yourself some mentors such as Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up.
yep.
Les Brown
Yep,
to
yep,
go for
absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
You know,
We should be very careful to the thoughts that we're giving energy to. And when we do that,
exactly.
we start to realize which thoughts are not contributing to our success, and we can let those go. This has been a fulfilling conversation, and Minerva Garcia, Minie, thank you so much for your time. Uh, and
You're very welcome.
I hope our listeners will listen to this and because they will get tremendous value out of it. And thank you for your time one more time. I see you next time with a different
Thank
guest.
you very much, Arut, for having me.